Good afternoon, Miss Garish. I'm
Hi.
Erin from Speech Pathology. How are you doing?
Very well, Erin. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. So I thought we could start today by talking about the troubles you've been having with your voice and coming up with some strategies to help you with that and a few exercises.
That sounds terrific. Any help would be great.
Good. So how has it been recently? I saw your evaluation from Hebrew Rehab, but has anything changed since then?
I definitely have days, maybe toward the latter part of the week, that often seem a little more bothersome. I guess that's the only thing I've really noticed.
And it's still, by the end of the day, it's still worse than in the morning. You're feeling like it's getting very dry, hard to talk at all.
Yes, definitely toward the end of the day, and maybe certain types of weather, like if the heat in the building, I don't know, something about certain days make it a little more dry feeling.
That's definitely a possibility. So that's something that can affect it. Have you noticed anything that helps at all?
I definitely keep a water bottle handy when I'm at work, and the more often I remember to, drink, the better.
Great. So why don't we start, actually, now that you mentioned that. I have a list of some vocal hygiene tips. You can take a look at them.
Okay.
So sounds like one of them you've already started doing. Drinking a lot of water can definitely help.
Excellent.
As you can see on some of the other ones, I read that you have a history of GERD and hypothyroidism.
Right.
GERD a lot of different foods and drinks can be irritants for that. So avoiding some spicy foods, trying to not have a big meal before going to bed, even 2 hours before is what we would recommend. That can be something to help you.
Okay.
They talk about here trying to take an easy, relaxed breath and trying to speak in a very relaxed manner. That can help, and we're actually going to do an exercise on that after.
Oh, great.
Holding your head straight while you're talking can help. That can really help you project and not have to speak quite as loud. Trying to avoid that abuse. I'm sure as being a teacher, you have to end up raising your voice a lot with the kids.
At times I definitely do. I certainly attempt to be an even keel teacher so that even when things are frustrating, I try not to let it change the way I speak. But there are definitely times in a room full of 18 kids that I have to get a little louder.
I'm sure. A few different things. You can't control this too much, the cough and sneezing, but to try to do that a little bit quieter rather than, a huge explosive one. Trying to reduce any extra vocal demands. So of course you need to be speaking while you're teaching.
Yes.
But maybe it's a little bit less of speaking on the phone. Maybe you try to pick restaurants that won't be quite as loud so that you're not competing with background noise.
That's good to know. I definitely was at a place recently that I really enjoyed everything about the restaurant, except that it was the music and the place was so loud that having to yell over people was challenging.
Definitely. Good point. Trying to sit in the center of a room can help. So choosing kind of where you are in a group so that you're not, shouting to the people in the corners. That can go with outings if you're with a group of friends or even during teaching, so that if you're in the front and all the other children are in the back, you're obviously going to have to project more.
Good point, to kind of mix and mingle and get toward the center of where the kids are.
And then there's a few more I think we touched on a little bit. So I read that you don't smoke, so that's great.
Right.
Smoking and excessive alcohol use can definitely be a trigger that can make voice problems more exacerbated. Even silly voices, mimicking others, excessive loud laughing, those types of voices can actually be more damaging as well.
That's interesting because of the age of the kids that I teach. Not that I say I do it too much of the day, but I definitely mimic funny sounding voices for the games that we play.
Yeah. And that can be fun. I don't want to take away your fun, but that can be something that, reducing that can actually alleviate some of the voice difficulties. And you had mentioned the heat, so increasing humidity can help. So perhaps your building is sometimes a very dry heat, which might make some of those vocal symptoms exacerbated.
So maybe having a vaporizer in the room?
Yeah, so a humidifier can help. That's something we'd suggest, especially in the winter.
Right,
so you might be noticing it more recently.
Yes, definitely.
And then I know you have some allergies, so some of those things, the seasonal allergies, can really get to you. Dust and smoke, that can irritate the throat as well. So trying to avoid those types of situations as much as possible can be good.
Mm-hmm. Are there any particular medications that I guess that doesn't affect my voice, but I think about the different over-the-counter medications I try to take for my seasonal allergies.
Yeah, it's definitely good to look at the side effects of the medications as well, because a lot of those can be irritating to your voice as well.
Okay.
So you definitely want to speak to your doctor about any side effects and what might be the best medications in terms of vocal hygiene.
Good to know. Thanks.
You're welcome. So what do you think out of this list? Are there any things that stand out to you as something that you could potentially work on?
Well, I definitely think I can think about where I put myself in the room as far as speaking to groups of people, especially daily in the classroom, but also at workshops and places I go with large groups, trying to keep everybody closer around, or me as much in the center. Smoking and alcohol are definitely not issues. I do like spicy foods on a fairly regular basis, but I guess as long as I'm having like a glass of water nearby me, I mean, maybe 2 times a week I'll tend to have things a little bit on the spicy side.
Okay. And this is a list of many options. So if you feel like the spicy foods isn't something you're willing to eliminate, we'll try to work on some of the other ones.
Okay.
So sitting towards the middle of the room, trying to position yourself. I think you had mentioned the loud restaurants and environments you can try to reduce a bit.
Yes, sure. I do drink skim milk, so that's not an issue, and I do drink plenty of water. I don't eat very close to bedtime, so that's also something that's already I'm taking care of.
Great. And then maybe, how about in the classroom, in terms of making those funny sort of noises and the loud, trying to reduce that overly loud volume?
Well, the good news is in my classroom I work with a co-teacher, and she doesn't seem to have any of these issues that I do, so we are good about kind of sharing responsibilities, and
Great.
She could be the person that takes on more of those types of roles.
Perfect. So I think those could be a couple of key things that you could focus on for now. We'll do a little bit of this exercise, and then maybe we can practice those things in the next few weeks, see how your voice is doing.
Great. That sounds terrific.
So those are for you to keep.
Great.
Awesome.